Today is 26th July. We're doing Bhakti Basics, how to surrender. After why to surrender, we're at the part of how to surrender. We have Anukulyasya Sankalpaha, that is, accept things favorable for Krishna consciousness. Under that, we have 6 items. There are 6 ways to surrender, basically. All of that I put it up on the board with the English translations. The first one being accept things favorable for Krishna consciousness. What are things favorable? There are 6 things favorable for Krishna consciousness. There is Utsaha Nishchayat Dhairyat, Tat Tat Karma Pravartana, Sangha Tyaga, and the 6th one is Sato Vrittehe. Utsahan is enthusiasm. Nishchayat is, you remember, confidence and determination. Dhairyat is patience. Tat Tat Karma Pravartanat is following the regulative principles. Sangha Tyagat is abandoning association of non-devotees. Sato Vrittehe is association of devotees. And then reject things Pratikulyasya Varjanam. What is that? Second point is reject things unfavorable for Krishna consciousness. Nahi say, room number. Thank you. Reject things unfavorable. Unfavorable things are again 6. That is Atyahara Prayasascha Prajalpo Niyamagraha Jana Sangascha Lolyamcha Shadbir Bhakti Kanascha. I've not written the last line. What is that? What destroys bhakti is Atyahara. Too much and overtaking. Too much eating. Or giving too much to these 5 senses than what they can take is atyahara. All the negativity, all the contamination that comes from, too much intake of these 5 senses destroys our determination, destroys our confidence in bhakti, destroys our faith in spiritual life, in eternal life. It just thinks that it over-enforces our concept of this material body, that we can enjoy with this material body. That is what atyahara does. And then prayas is over-endeavoring for things which are difficult for mundane objects which are difficult to obtain. We understand that these things are very far-fetched. And then prajalpa is talking unnecessarily for unnecessary things. Right? And then niyamagraha, there are 2 extremes we discussed in that. Following the rules and regulations so rigidly that we forget what is the goal. And neglecting rules and regulations without understanding the goal. Right? Both the extremes we discussed and how we have to balance both these things. Jana Sangha is again abandoning association of worldly minded people. Now this aspect is so important. I think we stopped at that aspect. Right? That aspect is so important that Rupa Goswami, he mentions it twice. One in a positive way, one again in a negative way. In a positive way, he says, Sangatyak Sato Vritte. Again here he uses Jana Sangha. Again, worldly minded people. I'll tell you why he emphasizes it so much. And last is Lolyam. It is greed. Tony hovering around me. That's it. We finished who will chew the food. I think we stopped at Niyamagraha. Lolyam is greed. I'll just explain what is there further, what we're going to finish today. Rakshishyati Vishwaso is the 3rd way to surrender to Krishna. How to surrender? This is the 3rd point. These all have 6 sub-points and that's why they take most of the time. Here there are only 2 points. Having firm faith in protection of Krishna. Firm faith that only Krishna can protect. And the second type of firm faith could be Krishna will protect. Do you see the difference between these 2 statements? Number 1 is only Krishna can protect. And number 2 is Krishna will protect. These 2 are different statements and we'll describe about devotees who fit into both these categories. We'll elaborate when we finish Jana Sangascha and Lolyamcha. Next, the 4th way to surrender is Goptritve Varanam Tatha, which means firm faith that Krishna is the real maintainer. We'll speak about the analogy of a mother and child there. And then Atma Nikshepa is to always depend on Krishna's mercy. In that we'll discuss on interdependence and spiritual maturity. Again, there are two extremes. Just remind me, in spiritual maturity, again we'll describe two extremes. How in Niyamagraha, there are two extremes. People who just follow things so rigidly, ritualistically, and there are people who totally neglect the rules. They think that, bhakti doesn't require rules and regulations, only a sentiment. Those are two extremes. So here in spiritual maturity, in Atma Nikshepa, we'll discuss spiritual maturity in two extremes of it. Karpanya is to think of oneself as a humble, meek servant of Krishna. In that we'll discuss how sadhana means being a humble, meek servant of Krishna. We'll elaborate on that. And this is 6 ways to surrender. This is the same thing. So can we start with Jana Sangha?
Think of one person, a humble, meek servant comes to the fifth point.
Sixth point. Sixth point. These two words I've written it together.
Okay.
And then I've put 5 and 6 here. Karpanya means to think of oneself as humble and meek servant of Krishna. This word Karpanya.
Okay, so it comes to the fifth point.
Yeah. And this is Atma Nikshepa is the 5th way to surrender. Karpanya is the 6th way to surrender. So it will come in the same line. I've written it together. So 5th translation is here, 6th translation is here. Is that okay? So we have to start from this today. Janasangha. Name of my name? Labhanga Manjari is the name of his Grace Sanatan Goswami. Do you know Sanatan Goswami? His name in the spiritual world is actually all these Goswamis are Manjaris from the spiritual world. Manjaris are the assistants of gopis. They are girls who are just about 7-8 years old. Not very young girls. And they assist the gopis in serving Krishna. So all these Goswamis are actually revealed to be, the other acharyas are revealed that these are actually Manjaris of the spiritual world. So his name in the spiritual world is Labhanga Manjari. And my name is Labhanga Manjari Devi Bhakti. No, I didn't change it. My spiritual master gave me this name.
So what was your name for that?
Shruti.
Shruti.
A-C-H-R-U-T-I.
Shruti.
Jana Sangha, can we start? Jana Sangha means avoiding the association of materialistic people. Right? This principle is so important, as I was mentioning it before, that Rupa Goswami is mentioning it twice. If you see the first point, accept things favorable. In that also he has said that Sangha Tyag means he has to abandon association of worldly minded people. Now what is the problem? And you remember we discussed it a little more, that what does it mean to abandon? It doesn't mean that you just live in seclusion. What it means is you don't become very intimate with them. And the sinful activities that they are indulging in, we do not take pleasure in that. And especially in professional life, you keep very professional dealings. In a family atmosphere, if someone is repulsive to your Krishna consciousness, you simply be exemplary and try to keep away this aspect of your personal life from that person. And everything else should be like your relationship should not suffer because of that person not able to accept your Krishna consciousness. That's your personal life, your me time. That should be kept separate from your family. Right? Everyone has their own space. So then, Jana Sangha is that materialistic association. Now Rupa Goswami says that purely materialistic association without any spiritual touch can be very detrimental for one who is eager to surrender to Krishna. At the same time, when we not associate with people intimately, but we need some intimacy with someone. So we should be intimate with devotees of Krishna who can help us understand these delicate aspects of life. How to get more spiritual touch, more spiritual association. So when we are even in the association of materialistic people, we are protected with that veil that Krishna puts over us. So the problem with materialistic association is that it reinforces our bodily conception of life. when you're engaging with such people, there's so much in bodily concept. They think so much that their body that affects those vibrations, that thinking affects us, that attitude affects us and makes us forget our spiritual identity. Material association confirms the hedonistic propaganda that life is meant to enjoy the senses. Isn't it? That's what all material propaganda is about. Why are you practicing Krishna consciousness at such a young age? It's for old age. Isn't it? Often I get to hear this. Yeah. It kills our spiritual desires of loving and serving Krishna, our eternal Lord and friend. It just simply kills it. So we have to balance our association with materialistic people with regular balance of association of devotees. The last is lolyam. Lolyam means excessive greed for mundane things. Excessive greed. Greed has the capacity to blind us from our own well-being. Isn't it? And to absorb our mind and consciousness completely in the object of greed. Do you understand this line? First of all, it's blinding us from our own well-being. And the second thing it does is it absorbs our mind so much in that object of greed that you can't think of anything else but that material object. People lose all their life savings and hard-earned money to get a quick buck, maybe in the share market or through gambling. That's because of excessive greed. Maybe just once you made some money there, what happens? It attracts you, it pulls you, right? So then actually that's not only for materialistic people, even on a subtle platform there are yogis and babas who get attracted to mystic yoga. When they're practicing yoga, what is the ultimate stage? There are 8 stages of Ashtanga yoga. The ultimate stage is Samadhi, where you have seen the Paramatma in your heart. That is the goal of Ashtanga yoga. That is what we're supposed to attain. And sometimes, when you're practicing something, you get some byproducts. Like even when you're in a bhakti line, the byproduct is fame. You often get fame because you know so many shlokas, you have so much intelligence, you get good memory power. So these are byproducts, this is not the goal. And so often in Ashtanga yoga, that's a subtler platform than, gross material greed. In that platform, people often get mystic powers. If you run after that, your goal is lost. Even in a more subtle platform on that, even devotees get lost with fame and prestige. And they become very proud. And they look down upon other junior devotees or other, even sometimes senior devotees who might, they start fault finding. And that's a road down. It takes you down because pride is a contamination. It contaminates your spiritual aspirations. So greed is extremely dangerous. I'm sure everyone must have heard about the King Midas, the Midas touch. That how he even lost his daughter. Even he turned his daughter to gold. So that was his greed. And these things have, that power that the material things have to attract is so much. Imagine money, just lying. Everyone's eyes just bulge out, It's that greed which is anyway there in it. And that sense object simply pulls us towards it. So how do you, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is given a beautiful thing in Chaitanya Charitamrita. He says, Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavitamati Kriyatam Yadi Kutopi Labhyate Tatra Lolyam. Lolyam is greed. Ati Mulyam Ekalam Janma Koti Sukrite Na Labhyate. He says pure devotional service in Krishna consciousness cannot be had even by pious activity in hundreds and thousands of lives. That means you've lived hundreds and thousands of lives, you've connected so much punya, but that's not the qualification for you to attain or eligibility for you to attain Krishna consciousness. It's that rare. Pure devotional service in Krishna consciousness. That's so rare. It can be attained by paying one price, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says. He says even if you do lots of lifetimes of punya, you're not eligible for Krishna consciousness or pure Krishna consciousness. What gives you when you pay a certain price, you can get that. What is that price? Ati lolyam. What is ati? Ati is like lots or intense. Lolyam is greed. We just said greed is not good. That is intense greed to obtain Krishna consciousness. When you have intensity that Krishna consciousness is the best thing for me. There's nothing better than that. I want to go back to Godhead. That ati lolyam, that is the price you can pay for that. If it is available somewhere, one must purchase it without delay. You have the currency, you have ati lolyam, you purchase it for your Krishna consciousness. You purchase Krishna consciousness with your ati lolyam. So this lolyam for your materialistic things can be easily dovetailed into lolyam for Krishna consciousness, for pure devotion in Krishna consciousness. So it's a beautiful prayer that he says. That means when we serve the Supreme Lord with our 5 senses, our eyes, our ears, our nose, tongue, skin and genitals. Now even the skin has some pores. The nose is 2 holes. They are like holes in our body. Right? Yeah, and here, who's that? I think Rupa Goswami calls it, there's one particular great saint who says that these holes, they're not holes, they're wells. Yeah? They're like wells. The more you put in, but still it doesn't get filled up. It wants more. If we think that obtaining materialistic things, we're going to fill up these holes that we have or satisfy these senses that we have, it's not possible. They are like deep, deep wells. They simply keep asking for more. But if that supreme whole, WHOLE, who's that? The absolute person, Krishna, when you serve him with these senses, what happens? These holes are immediately covered to the brim. They're immediately satisfied. Krishna has a different name called Rishikesh. You know what Rishikesh means? One who controls his senses, and he can control other people's senses also. Not only his senses, but senses of others. Rishikesh, that's what Krishna. Even there's a place called Rishikesh. Yeah? So that's what Krishna's name means, that he can satisfy our senses. Our senses will immediately be satisfied when we offer the functions of these senses to him. The holes of these eyes are satisfied when we see the beautiful form of the Lord. The holes of the nose are satisfied when we smell the beautiful incense which is offered to the Lord, or the flowers which are offered to the Lord. When we touch the devotees, bodies of devotees in embrace, the pores of this body are satisfied, they are purified. Right? In satisfied I mean is purified. Correct? And then what happens? The tongue. How do you purify the tongue? Talking about Krishna consciousness, chanting the holy names, tasting prasad. So easy. Tasting prasad which is offered to Krishna. All these ways, these holes are immediately satisfied or they purify. This is how he talks about lolyam. Correct? So pratikulyasya varjanam, 6 things which we have to reject and they are unfavorable in Krishna consciousness. Atyahara is too much eating. Prayas, over endeavoring for mundane things which are difficult to obtain. Prajalpa, talking too much unnecessarily. Niyamagraha, 2 extremes of following rules and regulations. Janasanga is bad association of worldly minded people. Lolyam is greed, which can be transformed into spiritual greed. Okay? Now next point in how to surrender is Rakshishyati cha, Rakshishyati Vishvaso. Firm faith in Raksha. Raksha is protection. In this we have 2 points. Rakshishyati Vishvaso means complete faith in protection of Krishna. Complete faith that I am fallible. And Krishna is infallible. He is perfect. And he will never fail me. Okay? Therefore, we always depend on higher powers to protect us from difficulties and reversals. Isn't it? Because we are fallible. We understand that if I have this treasure in my house, it's bound to get robbed. It's bound to get taken away from me. So what do? There's insurance, there's security, there's watchmen. There's so many things that we put our faith on. That these things will protect us. Now we keep it. We have faith in army, we have faith in the naval forces, in our bank balances. Right? We have faith that these are the things that are going to protect me. So really in difficult times, what protects you? When we are dying, what can we hold on to? Bank balance? Watchman? Last person. Yeah. You can hold on only to God. So that faith in His protection. Now there are two types of faith. I told you there are two categories of devotees. One who believe that only Krishna can protect. Now the classic example of this example is Draupadi. When she was being disrobed by the evil Dushasan, what was happening in her? What was going on in her mind? First of all, she didn't want to come because she knew she was going to be humiliated. But when she was pulled, forcibly by Dushasan, what could she do? Dushasan had the power of 10 elephants. His arms were so strong, and this delicate queen, what could she possibly do? She was a very delicate princess. So what did she do? She was looking at her husbands. She was looking at the mighty generals, Bhishma, Drona, Dhritarashtra, Kripacharya. Everyone was sitting in the assembly. So many warriors, all the 100 sons of Dhritarashtra, so many warriors were sitting. What was she doing? She was looking into their eyes, begging for them for protection. They couldn't do anything. And then what did she do? Let me try myself. She put her sari in her teeth. She held it with her hands. Could she hold on? Oh, Dushasan was bent on disrobing her. And then when he kept tugging her sari so strongly, and she understood that nothing's going to happen, she raised her arms and she knew that only Krishna can protect. That is Rakshishyatiti Vishwaso, that faith. That at difficult times only Krishna is the one who has the power to protect, and there's nobody else. Not husbands, not spouses, not no matter what sort of generals they are, but only her ultimate lesson, and the lesson that we can get from her story is that only Krishna will protect. Only Krishna can protect. Yeah. So from this episode, the thing is that we try our best. That's what Draupadi did. She tried her best, and then leave the rest to Krishna. That's the first part. Only Krishna can protect means we try, we put our first endeavor, best endeavor, and then next is left to Krishna to decide. That's the first part. Also, when you go to hospitals, I just remember that my father-in-law's sister, she's going through such a difficult time. She's literally battling it out, Since 3 days we've been watching her and we couldn't do anything for her. Her heartbeat is going up, her heartbeat is going down. Sometimes it goes to 58, low to almost 35. The general level should be 75 at least. It jumped to 300. That was like a cardiac arrest she had. So it was so difficult. And we're just watching her, we can't do anything. Even the doctor says, we're simply treating, he's the one who cures. Isn't it? And I remember when somebody asked me a question, that sometimes the doctors make this statement that because they are on ventilator, they are alive. You heard this statement? Yeah. How do you judge that? What's the difference between a dead person and a person on ventilation?
It's just that you're breathing.
You're breathing. Means this material gross heart doesn't have the power to go on, so it needs an external help. But then what is the difference when someone has, even in spite of ventilation, still has left their body? In spite of ventilation, still people leave their body? That happens all the time. Yeah, even in coma, like sometimes there's no soul. The heart won't even beat, won't even move if there's no soul.
But the soul is still there. The soul is still there. There's full consciousness when they are under ventilation.
See, when blood is circulating, that means the soul is there. It's so subtle.
But the consciousness is there.
Can I bring a dead man?
There's no consciousness.
That's exactly what I'm asking. What's the difference between a dead person and a person who's artificially alive?
There's no consciousness. No, there is consciousness in a person on the ventilator. If there is a consciousness, yes. But there is no consciousness.
Means there's no power in the gross body.
Yeah.
There's no battery power left in the gross body.
It is done with the machine.
Yeah, but the time comes when the soul has to leave. No matter how much you try with artificial things, with ventilation, this, that body is dead. The soul is the principle. And Krishna's protection is the principle. Because you can see, we are so fallible. Any moment we can fall into a reversal. Who can get us out? Only Krishna. So that first protection. Even Gajendra, the story in 8th canto, the time of his death, he fought the crocodile so much, and then in the end of it, he realized that this is the only way. I can only surrender to Vishnu, only he can do something about it. The minute he remembered Vishnu, he came down in his Garuda and saved him. Right? It's that, they have these mountaineers, they climb in heavy snowfall and everything. So this person, when he was climbing with his colleagues, suddenly there was an avalanche. And everything just slips. So one by one, what happened? His colleagues were falling off and he was trying to hold on to that rope. And then he realized that at least the snowfall has subsided, but he is lying at a very difficult position. That rope is there, it's so tiny, even that rope is trying to, it's going to cut off because it can't take the weight of him and the dead bodies down, because all of them are connected together. You've seen people rock climbing, how they connect themselves to each other. Yeah? So then at point of time he started praying that please, God protect me. I don't want to die. All my colleagues they're frozen. A lot of them have fallen off. What do I do? And he was praying and he's praying and he's praying. And somehow he got this voice saying that cut that rope. How can I cut the rope? The rope is the thing which is holding me on. How if I cut that rope, I'm dead. How can I cut the rope? No. Again he heard that voice. Cut that rope. He couldn't. The next day morning, the people found him 6 inches away from the land, stuck to the rope and frozen to death. A lot of times, we have to let go of something, but we think, no, this is the thing which is protecting me. Do we have that faith that Krishna will protect, or Krishna can protect, and there's no one else, not that rope? So it's a beautiful story I had heard. And Krishna's protection, the second way to look at it is that Krishna will protect. But that's a deeper thing. That's a deeper thing. Krishna can protect when everything feels like, it's kind of no option situation. No, Krishna, please, I know you can protect, but will he protect? Do we have that faith? Prahlad Maharaj, Hiranyakashipu, was Hiranyakashipu a demon? One of the greatest demon of, he's like the celebrated demons in Srimad Bhagavatam, he was the most powerful, literally the most powerful. All these Hitlers and all these people actually panikam chai in front of Hiranyakashipu. He would raise his eyebrow, the demigods would shiver. So much power. He had conquered all the 3 planetary systems. So he was tormented by his son, Prahlad. Why? Because Prahlad was a devotee of Vishnu. What did he do to Prahlad? Tried to kill him. I tried everything possible. Put him under, stampedes of mad elephants. Tried to burn him because, that sister Holika threw him off the cliff. Literally threw him off a cliff. Put him in a pit with poisonous snakes and scorpions. And Prahlad Maharaj was unfazed. He didn't even pray. Because he knew that Krishna will protect. So that faith that Rakhi Krishna Mare Ke and Mare Krishna Rakhi Ke, that if Krishna decides to kill you, who can protect you? And if Krishna decides to protect, who can touch you? That faith. Now that's a very high level actually. It takes great caliber of surrender. But that's also a type of faith, a type of strong faith that on Krishna's protection. So we get these 2 points. Only Krishna can protect and Krishna will protect. Do you get the difference? That's more important. This is a more high level of surrender. This surrender is the least expected, Definitely. Nothing else than Krishna can definitely protect. The next point on surrender is Goptritve Varanam Tatha. That is firm faith that Krishna is the real maintainer. Now in that we often discuss the analogy of the mother and child. Now this shloka, what is the source of this shloka? Ka chinta mama jivine yadi han vishvambaro giyate na chider bhaka jivanartha janani sthanyam kutham nisare. You know what's a janani? Janani is a mother. Itya locha muhur muhur yadu pate lakshmi pate kevalam. Lakshmi's husband. Tvat padam bhuja sevanena satatam kalo maya niyate. Why should I worry in life as Lord Hari is the sustainer of the world? This is a question, it's like a rhetoric. Why should I worry in life as Lord Hari is the sustainer of the world? Had it not been so, then how come a mother's breast is filled with milk automatically for her infant? Isn't it? As soon as the child is born, it's provided for. Is the mother creating it? It's maintained. Believing this, that he who creates life also provides for its sustenance. O spouse of Lakshmi, O Lord of the Yadus, I pass my life devoted to your feet. This is the faith in Krishna's maintaining power. Why do I have to worry about anything in life? Do we have that level of surrender? I don't have to worry about anything. Krishna will take care. What is that? Dane dane pe likha khane wale ka naam. If you are born, then Krishna will do. He'll maintain for you also, right? So here, that's a beautiful thing, that when a child is born, immediately the mother has the milk to feed the child too, correct? So already, did the child choose the parents? The parents are also provided. Who's going to take care is also there, and who's going to provide is also there. So what do you worry about? Nitya Nityanam, Chetanas Chetananam. There are so many eternal beings, living entities, tiny jivas, tiny souls, and all of them are maintained by that Chetananam, that supreme eternal living person. Everyone is being maintained by that one personality. So sometimes we have this pride that I am running the show, or I am running a house. I maintain so many. If मैं नहीं होती ना, yeah, literally, that everyone is being maintained by me. What is that? Ego. Because of me alone, everyone is happy and everyone will suffer without me. I am the provider, maintainer. People are dependent on me financially, emotionally, intellectually, spiritually. Spiritually, sometimes if the Guru thinks like that, then my disciples are dependent on me. Without me, their Krishna consciousness is zero. It's a big misconception that the Guru has. The Guru can have. They are being maintained because Krishna is providing, because Krishna is maintaining. He is the actual maintainer of the entire creation.
Because Krishna is doing everything, so we are just used as an instrument. So why we have to have the consequence of karma and all those things when we are being an instrument?
When we forget that we are an instrument, karma starts.
But we don't forget. Once we have accepted Krishna.
Yeah, so it's only a matter of time when you practice it completely. It takes some time. Once you know, once in your consciousness, that's why this knowledge is actually, Krishna describes it as a burning lamp. Slowly it will destroy the ignorance in our heart. It takes some time. Once a devotee, like a person who is in first standard, is yet to reach the 10th. So he's already started the process. He just has to wait, and perform well in each standard, and then one day he'll reach to the 10th standard. So right now we have understood that okay, Krishna is the maintainer. But to completely come to that point, come to that level of faith, level of surrender, takes some time. It's only time. It's only element of time then. Just like what does often Prabhupada says, what does a raw mango have to do to become a ripe mango? Just wait. Just have to wait. One day you're getting all the nourishment, you're getting everything. One day you'll become a ripe mango. So one day you'll become a pure devotee with complete surrender. So simply going on with this faith. Actually when time comes, we have to remind ourselves. Krishna is the real maintainer. Krishna is the real maintainer. He will maintain, He will do, He will look after. We have to remind ourselves. There has to be a point of time when you don't have to remind yourself. You're working with that, paradigm. You're working on that paradigm. Next one. Can I go to next? It's too fast. There are small points. How to become surrender. How to always depend on Krishna's mercy. Now here again I was discussing about two extremes. Can I erase this part? The sixth point of dependence on Krishna's mercy. There are two extremes that a person can go in any general situation. In a general situation, either we think, like if there's a crisis. I remember there was one person who was asking me this question, that often there are so many fanatical people. They were working on this merchant navy, and once they had a problem on the ship because the ship was actually rocking back and forth and they didn't know what to do. So there's one of these captains who was following, I won't name the particular sect that he was following. He was so devout, he said that he went into his room, he locked himself out, and then he didn't come out. He was the captain, he was one of the co-captains of the team, and everyone was trying so hard and everything, and finally the ship came back to normal. It was sailing normal, and then when he came out, everyone was like, where were you? What were you doing? He said, no, I was praying to God, and that's why the ship is normal now. And everyone got so irritated. They said, how can you say that, We tried hard, and you were, gone, and how is this possible? So what is that? What would you call that? Was he right?
You have to
Was
make
he
an
wrong?
effort. I mean, you just at the time of crisis, you can't just lock yourself in a room and pray.
Exactly.
You have to make your
Exactly. Do you get
have
the
to
point?
make all your effort and then leave everything else to God.
Is that dependency on Krishna right? That is you. You do it. आप ही करो. मुझसे तो कुछ नहीं होता. You heard this? भगवान करेंगे. भगवान का बुलाएगा आएगा तो हम आएंगे मंदिर. Classes. You heard this? My endeavor is not required. He does everything. That kind of dependency is one ridiculous extreme. Right? Another extreme is, मैंने तो किया है. I've done it. I've endeavored. I'm responsible. I'm self-reliant. I'm totally under control. That pride. What has he done? He was not there when I was going through a tough time. I didn't see him around. He's not done anything for me. It's my own destiny. Man can write his own destiny. It doesn't require God. That is another type of self-dependence. Another extreme. How do we balance this out?
You have to make 100% effort to please the result to God.
What comes between you and I? We. Get it? That's dependency on Krishna. That's what I meant by interdependence. And having spiritual maturity. Like this boatman.
Here, when you do something good and you are getting good karma for that, you do something bad, then you are getting bad karma for that. So then you have to raise above that, like that akarma level. After that only it will like.
I'm already assuming that you're on a karma level when you're practicing
Yeah,
these
so
things.
that is the only thing which will help in this way. Like we part will come there only,
Yeah.
not otherwise.
Karma, akarma. I'm talking about akarma. Like, some people say that, God has made whiskey and all these things, so I'm drinking it. Is that a karma? No, sinful things they are carefully sidelined by the Vedas. These things don't include, and you can't even transform them into a karma. These are clearly sinful. Meat eating, gambling, intoxication, and illicit sex. Keep it. And anything which aids these four things is in the vikarma category.
But it's like what I'm understanding, like whatever you do and leave the result to God, that itself becomes our karma.
Yeah, fruits, giving the fruits to God, or believing that it's both of us together. I have to put my endeavor first,
Mercy.
and then His mercy will flow. Believing on interdependency. Once I finish this point, now you'll understand.
So that part is our karma.
If you are physically dependent, paralyzed or disabled or limited in some physical way, I would need you to help me. Yes? If I were emotionally dependent, my sense of worth, my security, my emotions, the way I react, everything comes on the way you behave with me. That's dependency. You understand? If I'm just giving you a hypothetical situation that if I'm disabled, I'm paralyzed, then you're totally dependent on another person. And how the other person behaves with you, that affects you a lot. Right? If you don't like me, and you're simply doing it for, burden hai, will I know about it? Yeah, because I'm conscious, I can understand. Yeah? And imagine, and that will become literally define my life, the way I live. Right? That is complete dependency on someone else. Yeah? And imagine if I were independent. I'm physically alright. I'm like, I can make it on my own. Yeah? And then when you behave with me in a certain way, how does it affect me?
I mean, good or bad, it doesn't.
It just depends on what relation you have, and depends on a lot of things. Correct? So here, when interdependency I'm talking about, when you depend on God, what happens? Do I stop putting my endeavor? No, Krishna gives you a chance that you have your area of service that you can perform. You get it? There are so many options. In fact, the Acharyas give us, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pada Sevanam. You can worship the deities, correct? Or you can come and hear Krishna Katha, or you can hear Krishna Katha at home. You can perform Kirtan, you can sing for the Lord, you can dance for the Lord, you can make garlands for the Lord. So many options. You can read the Bhagwate Gita, that's also a service. Depending on your spiritual inclination, you can perform variety of services. What is standard? Chanting Hare Krishna. That is standard for everyone. That's not an option. That's the Kali Yuga. That's the Yuga Dharma. So everyone needs to follow that. And besides that, what you can do, perform these extra things according to your inclination. And then what happens? The mercy flows. That's interdependency. Spiritual maturity, I'm actually looking for that exact word because I'm sure I'll go wrong. Excuse me, one thing. It's very beautiful. I'm sure you must have heard it also. When I read it, you'll know. What prayer in interdependency, in spiritual maturity, what is the prayer? The prayer is somewhat, I'll try to remember. Found it. A person who's like that, interdependent, he's simply, I'm trying to connect these two things. This point and this point are somewhat connected. Number one, to always depend on Krishna's mercy, but not in these two extremes. That I will do zero endeavor, or I'll do only the endeavor, you don't exist for me. It's we. I put my effort and then I expect Krishna's mercy to flow. And spiritual maturity is connected to this point. Whereas sadhaka, he prays that, oh Lord, give me the courage to change the things that I can. You heard this?
Yes.
I didn't want to go wrong, that's why I was searching it out. Change things that I can. That means things which are under my control. To humbly accept the things that I can't. Means things which are not in my control or out of my control.
Humbly accept
The things that I can't change. That means things which are out of my purview of control. And the third thing, intelligence to know the difference between the both. So I pray that I have the courage to change the things that I can, humbly accept the things that I can't.
Which is serenity to accept the things I cannot.
Sorry?
Which is serenity to accept
Yeah.
the things I cannot.
Yeah, and then third thing is the intelligence or the wisdom to understand difference between the both. Right? What things are under my control? Endeavor is under my control. Right. Can you elaborate? Surrender. Can you elaborate? Things, yeah, our own actions or our own endeavor. Or in other words, me is under the purview of my control. My emotions, my mind, my intelligence, my endeavor, my whatever you call it, all these things relating to me is under my control. What other things are not under my control? Almost everything else. Almost everything else. Situations which come in my life, are they under my control? 99%? No. People? No. Children, spouses? First out of the line, the last in the line. Huh? And then? Everything else. And what are we trying to do? We're trying exactly opposite things. I will not change, try to change the other things around me. So that intelligence to understand the things that to know the difference between the two, things that I can change and things that I can't change. Rather work on me than work on others. So that is that V. That's spiritual maturity. That's what a sadhaka wants. The meaning of to think oneself a humble, meek servant of Krishna is to understand that right now if I have to serve Krishna, I have to do it.
But then there are so many times when you accept the thing as it is in your life, but then you are completely like shattered. Then how do you handle the situation?
What is under your control? That situation is under your control?
No, but you know that you have to control your own self, and you are trying to control your own self.
You need strength.
Yeah, and you have actually controlled yourself according to the situation, but then
You're not happy.
you're not happy. You are completely like shattered. Like you don't have even.
To be shattered or to do something about it, is it under your control?
Yeah.
You just said it. So Rali, the thing is that to remain, shattered is a thing that I will accept. Everywhere you can't be like, oh, I'm transcendental. Things will affect you. To stay there or to move on is our option.
Sometimes
Of course, you need strength for it.
Yeah, take your kids. Like, sometimes the way they behave.
Yeah.
Okay, you accept that, okay, and it's not going to bother me, but it
does bother you. I'm not saying it doesn't bother
bothers
you.
like hell. It bothers like hell.
Because you're your own,
Yeah.
people, your own piece of heart.
You
We have an important...
expectations from people whom you love. You don't have expectations.
No,
Many
I'm not
men.
talking about expectations.
Expectations, whatever is
Their general way of...
Basically, I'm talking only about husband and children because they are the closest, to you.
And they're the most people who have the power to hurt you.
Yeah, they can hurt you the most.
So basically, anger, greed, being a controller, I think these are not bad, provided you use it in the right. Right?
Greed you can use.
Greed to serve. or
Anger
to-
you can use.
Yeah.
Like Hanuman used it,
Yes.
on the Lanka.
So where it is used, where do we use our anger? Depends on that.
You can use on those who are atheistic to the Lord.
To fight non-devotees,
After the proper knowledge. After you get proper knowledge. Or just anger could also be keep away. Keep away from such people. Ignore such people. Because they will affect your consciousness. Exactly. So things except for envy, everything else can be used in the service of the Lord. Greed, as we told you, greed Krishna showed. Yeah, except for envy. Envy cannot be used because envy has no place in the spiritual world.
Okay, so the thing except envy.
Except for envy, all the other anarthas can be used in service of the Lord. So we can become spiritually independent on Krishna, interdependent on Krishna by maintaining our individuality and choosing to serve Him in our own unique way. I told you we have so many options. Like when you go to a shop, you have varieties of options in your budget to choose. Right? So many options are thrown by the acharyas. We can choose. We can choose deity worship, we can choose, only chanting or singing or kirtan or so many things, so many options are there. So what does Krishna, it's not like, oh, that person is doing so well, I want to be like that person. No, we have our own spiritual uniqueness. Otherwise Krishna would have made duplicates. Even He likes variety, He likes the way you are. We don't have to be like someone else. So being a humble, meek servant means in our own unique way, we can offer our love to Krishna the way we want. And the options that are given to us, anything which inspires us, we can take it up. Just because someone else is doing well, that is spiritual maturity. You don't follow them suit. Krishna wants you in your own uniqueness. Right? So what's within our control? Our free will is under our control. What is out of our control? Our destiny. Abhi ban gaya wo, So it's out of our control. But what we need to know is that it is within the control of the Lord. And having faith that He'll use it to bring me closer to Him. Everything that happens in my life is only a way for Krishna to bring me more closer to Him. That faith is what connects these 3 points together. Can we quickly revise? Accept things favorable for Krishna is 6. Reject things unfavorable for Krishna consciousness is again 6. Where one point is repeated again in a positive and negative way. You know which point that is?
Yes,
Sangha, Tyaga and Satogni. Firm faith in Krishna's protection, 2 ways. Preliminary level, Krishna can protect. He is the only one who can protect. And at a higher level, Krishna will protect. And then Krishna is real maintainer, analogy of the mother and child. That everything is automatically there. We simply need to have faith. And to always depend on Krishna's mercy, there are 2 extremes. Either we only depend on Krishna with zero endeavor, or only have faith and confidence in our endeavor and no faith in Krishna, or don't believe that He exists also. The right point is interdependence. I do my best, leave the rest on the Lord. To think of oneself as a humble meek servant of Krishna is to be a sadhaka with spiritual maturity. Control things which are in my purview, my free will. Things which I cannot control, my destiny. And understand the difference between both. And pray that Krishna brings us closer to Him. Yeah? So with this, what happens is, we finish this part of why to surrender and how to surrender. Can I quickly write down points on 4 types of people who surrender to Krishna and 4 types of people who don't surrender? Atma-Niksheta, Karpanya is to think of oneself to be. So that one you can turn to chapter 7, verse number 16. Chapter 7, verse number 16, 1-6. Six zero is anyway not there in chapter 7. 4 types of people. Can you go to the 15th one first? Sorry. Namam Dishkritino Muda. 15th one, 1-5. Please repeat. Namam Dushkritino Mudhaha.
Namam Dushkritino Mudhaha.
Prapadyante Naradhamaha.
Prapadyante Naradhamaha.
Mayaya Parita Jnana.
Mayaya Parita Jnana.
Asuram Bhavamashritah.
Asuram Bhavamashritah.
Ta, it is ta. Sorry. Again. Namam Dushkritino Mudhaha.
Namam Dushkritino Mudhaha.
Prapadyante Naradhamaha.
Prapadyante Naradhamaha.
Mayaya Parita Jnana.
Mayaya Parita Jnana.
Asuram Bhavamashritah.
Asuram Bhavamashritah.
We'll do it together. 1, 2, 3, start. 15th, 7.15. Together, start. Namam dushkritino mudhaha prapadante naradhamaha Mayaya parita jnana asuram bhavamashritaha. Translation: those miscreants who are grossly foolish, who are lowest among mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, and who partake of atheistic nature of demons, do not surrender unto me. So what are the 4 types of people who don't surrender? Number 1, dushkritinaha. What is dushkritinaha? Tamam dushkritinoho mudha. Naradama maya. Prapadyante naradhamaha. Naradhamaha is lowest among mankind. Nara is a human. Nara is a man. Adhama means like a donkey, सबसे fallen. Naradhamaha, lowest. Mayaya parita jnana, whose knowledge is stolen by maya, by illusory energy. Dushkritinaha mudha, grossly foolish miscreants. Naradhamaha, nara adhamaha, lowest amongst mankind. Mayaya parita jnana. Parita is stolen. By whom? By Maya. What is stolen? Jnana, knowledge. Asuram bhavam. Bhav is nature. Asuram is demon, demonic. Atheists with nature of demons. Ashrita, those who partake or those who take shelter of a demonic nature, they are atheists. I am reading the purport, and in every purport we have description of all these people.
But they are all interconnected.
Hey brothers,
One might have the other.
one can have all before. Can you start the purport? It is said in Bhagavad Gita that simply by surrendering oneself unto the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality Krishna, one can surmount the stringent laws of material nature. Where is this said? If you go just to the previous verse, 7.14, can you flip to that? There's this shloka. Devi yesha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya mam eva ye prapadyante maya metam taranti te. What does it mean? Can you read the translation? Energy of mind
consisting of 3 modes of material nature
is difficult to overcome. Those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. What is beyond the 3 modes of material nature? Shuddha Sattva. And that is pure consciousness. Consciousness of the soul. Right now it's covered of 3 modes of material nature. This divine energy of mind, this Maya, is Krishna's energy. He has covered us because we have so many unlimited material desires. Right? And how can you simply overcome it? By surrendering to Krishna. We have those 6 ways to surrender. Right? Now come back to your purport, 3rd line of the purport. At this point a question arises. How is it that educated philosophers, scientists, businessmen, administrators and all the leaders of ordinary men do not surrender to lotus feet of Sri Krishna, the all-powerful personality of Godhead? Isn't it? If someone is so educated, he has to understand that there is a creator behind this creation. There are so many natural laws which are functioning. There has to be a law enforcer, a lawmaker. To understand these things. But how can they, even after so much study, so much hardcore business, they don't understand these things. Mukti or liberation from laws of material nature is sought by leaders of mankind in different ways and with great plans and perseverance for many great years and births. But if that liberation is possible by simply surrendering unto lotus feet of Supreme Personality of Godhead, then why don't these intelligent and hard-working leaders adopt this simple method? It's a question, right? Even Arjun had this question. In 7.14 in previous verse, when Krishna said this thing, that Maya can be easily crossed beyond if they simply surrender unto me. It sounds so simple. So then Arjun had a doubt in mind. He thought that why people don't surrender if it's so simple? Then Krishna said this shloka. He said, 4 types of people, they don't surrender unto me. It is this. The Gita answers this very frankly. I'm reading the purport ahead. Those really learned leaders of society. Really learned. Who are the really learned ones? Like Brahma, Shiva, Kapila, the Kumaras, Manu, Vyas, Devala, Asita, Janaka, Prahlad, Bali, and later on Madhvacharya, Ramanujacharya, Sri Chaitanya and many others who are faithful philosophers, politicians, educators, scientists, etc. surrender to the lotus feet of the Supreme Person, the all-powerful authority. Those who are not actually philosophers, scientists, educators, administrators, etc., but who pose themselves as such for material gain, do not accept the plan or path of the Supreme Lord. They have no idea of God. They simply manufacture their own worldly plans and consequently complicate the problems of material existence in their vain attempts to solve them. Because material energy nature is so powerful, it can resist the unauthorized plans of the atheists and baffle the knowledge of planning commissions. Understand what is the difference between the leaders of the foregone ages and what is the difference between the leaders of today? Their motivation. Their motive is, I remember there is this joke, around when the child just starts crawling, there are around 12 to 13 sanskars that is done. Even before the husband and wife, plan a family, they're supposed to do a particular sanskar. And after, the mother is pregnant, at that time 5th month, and then again the 7th month you have baby showers. All these are sanskars which are done to give a child a healthy well-being, physically, even spiritually, emotionally, everything, a stable well-being for the child. And then once he is born, again the namkaran is there. Sometimes, they pierce the ears of the child. And then, annaprashan. After annaprashan, I think the child starts crawling. At that time again there is a sanskar done where, a priest is called to bless the child and they place things in front of the child. Something. What he picks up shows his inclination. Often, of course, the astrological reports are also taken out if you get a good astrologer. The 4 things are there, and often money is kept, cash, and then books are kept, they're stacked, and then a Bhagwate Gita is kept, and then a weapon, like some weapon is kept to determine what is the inclination of the child. So, often I remember there was this joke where this person was talking. He said that what the child did is that he crawled across, he picked up the money and he stacked it in his underpants, and then he picked up the Bhagavad Gita, he put it in his hand like this, and then he took the revolver and he hid it under his arms, and he took the books and then he kept it like in front of him, he touched and he kept it like that. So everyone was confused, what is the inclination of this child? He picked up everything. So the priest said he's a politician. So you understand? So what is the motivation? What's the motivation? That differentiates between people who want to accept plans of the Lord and who cannot or do not want to accept the plans of the Lord. So the next line is for the first category of demons who do not surrender to Krishna. The atheistic plan makers, that's the 3rd paragraph in the purport. Can everyone see? The atheistic plan makers are described herein by the word, what is the word? Duskritinaha, or miscreants. Kriti means one who has performed meritorious work. The atheistic plan makers sometimes very intelligent and meritorious also. What is meritorious? Bookish knowledge. A lot of bookish knowledge. Has great merit or what do you say? Degrees in his name. Because any gigantic plan, good or bad, must take intelligence to execute. But because the atheist's brain is improperly utilized in opposing the plan of the Supreme Lord, the atheistic plan maker is called Dushkriti, which indicates that his intelligence and efforts are misdirected. So what is a grossly foolish miscreant? Means janbooch ke he wants to create disturbance in the society. Examples? Plenty. They have intelligence, so much intelligence, so much good degrees, but what is it used in? Destruction. There was this person who was from army, and he was heading the arms department, the nuclear arms which they wanted to use in the Indian army. And he was heading that, and he was heading some scientists also. He had a whole team in that there were certain scientists. So these scientists, they were working on this nuclear atomic bomb, particular bomb that they were trying to manufacture. And at that time, once it was ready, then it was time for testing it. So this person in the army, of course, he did not have the type of degrees or the caliber of what the scientists had. So he was often, interrogating and taking their expert tips on certain technical issues. So at one point of time, he asked him the question that where do you think we should test this bomb? What would be the ideal location or place? So they said that, we'll know the power of this bomb if you test it in a place where there is a lot of population. So this person said, but people will die if I test it in such a place. He said, then how else will you know the power of this bomb? And he was thinking that their education has made them so insensitive that they don't understand what is death. They're asking them to test this bomb in a place where there is, lots of population. So exactly how many people will die. They were just, after numbers. Dushkritin. They have all the degrees and everything, but it's simply to show their power. It's not, they got nothing to do with God, or they don't understand what is being sensitive. At the same time, this person, he went to the army generals and he asked them, that what is the best location. They said, obviously, where there are no people, you can just try it in such spot. He said that these people don't have these degrees, but they are so much more sane. These guys are insane, and they don't understand what it means to kill people. These people are killing people, killing soldiers day in and day out, but they still understand what it is. So this great meritorious work, but it's misused. First characteristic is misuse of intelligence. I should have misuse of good intelligence. Rather than misuse of intelligence. Now I'll skip this particular paragraph and go to the next paragraph. Can you see the mudha? The mudhas are those who are grossly foolish, like hard-working beasts of burden. Donkeys. Donkeys have any goal in life? They're just working so hard. Why? Because they want to enjoy the fruits of their labor by themselves, and so do not want to part with them for the supreme. The typical example of the beast of burden is the ass. This humble beast is made to work very hard by his master. The ass does not really know for whom he works so hard day and night. He remains satisfied by filling his stomach with a bundle of grass, sleeping for a while under fear of being beaten by his master, and satisfying his sex appetite at the risk of being repeatedly kicked by the opposite party. Opposite party is the female ass. The ass sings poetry and philosophy sometimes, but this braying sound only disturbs others. He thinks that, I'm attracting the female ass, but it's a disturbance for everyone else. This is the position of the foolish fruitive worker who does not know for whom he should work. He does not know that karma, action, is meant for sacrifice, meant for yajna. We stop at this point. If anyone wants to go for darshan, can go. Now one way, miscreant is one with intelligence and one without intelligence. A mudha. You understand the meaning of dushkritana is grossly foolish miscreant, and then mudha is hard working